So this presentation is really more about messages I would like to share with you guys and ask you to pay attention on that because you are the key element to the success of this community building. So it's not because you have full Eclipse foundation in the project, automatically you will get everything for free. It's really a work that you have to do. So you have to have a strong motivation to build this community, and I will try to explain you why it's important for you to build this community. So first of all, why do we need? We're talking about developer community. We're not talking about customer community, about any other kind of community you might have around your project. It's really about developers. So first of all, it's because you need to protect your assets. We are working on a project for 3 years, strong investment from everybody, I assume. And after these 3 years, what happens usually that most of the people will run away because they have other projects, they need to get some other fundings. They are done with their PhD. They're not pay anymore for the project. So how can you create the sustainability of this project? If you want to do it, it's by creating community around this project, and you have to start as soon as possible. We're explaining that to our different members when they were asking us, guys, how are you building community? We put everything on open source in GitHub, and after 6 months, nobody was working it, nobody was downloading our stuff. That's true. It doesn't work that way. You really need to attract people. You really need to interest them, and it's a long way, and we have only 3 years to achieve that. So it's important to start as soon as possible. You also need developer community to improve your assets. We will be running out of the time, and so if we need to have good feedbacks, if we need to have some bug reports, we need to involve people as soon as possible, for example, by organizing hackathons, by letting people play with our stuff. They will have new ideas, and after the end of the project, if we want to do innovation, of course, we need to have these guys who are not from the beginning of the story with their new ideas. They will certainly bring some innovative ideas in the project. So it's for this reason also we need to have kind of developer community. We also need a developer community to spread the word. We, as Eclipse, will do a part of this job during the project. After the project, the obstacle will certainly be one of the other projects that we have in Eclipse, so we will not be able to spend more time the time that we already spend with the other projects. So we need to find evangelists inside the group or outside of the group to talk about this project because they are interested in it. And it's not only professionals, it can be just developers who like our stuff, who like building application on top of our platform, and they just will use the opportunity to show how it works and so on. So if we find somebody like that, we really need to take care of him or her and help him spread the word as much as possible. And the last one is we need to protect our human resources. And I'm talking about small organization or medium organization. And for that, I used to tell a story, the story of a good friend of mine who is involved in Eclipse for now almost 15 years. And he built an idea on top of Eclipse. And actually was never really taking care of Eclipse community. He was just using the software, was very happy with the software, and sometimes was visiting the Eclipse Con event, and that's it. And his company started to grow. Today there are something like 40 people. And one of his major customers, was ready to make a huge deal with his customer. And his customer, during one of the last meetings before they signed the contract, told him that they were looking for some people who could be able to develop on top of his idea. And they could find nobody on the web, nobody with this kind of skills. And he said, the only people we could find were people from your team. So it means for us that if we want to grow ourselves using your technology, we will have to steal some people from your organization. And we don't want to do that because we wanted to maintain and improve the stuff. So the next day, I'm not kidding, the next day, his buddy decided to be a member of it and decided to open source all his ideas to the Eclipse community because he knew that his business will go through the community. So you really need to, if you want to protect your human resource and then nobody steal your human resources, you really need to have other people interested in your project, and they will be, if it's interesting, they will put in their resume as some good skill they have, and they certainly will be able to also promote your stuff inside other organizations and partners that we might have in this project. So it's important to keep this kind of story in mind. Okay, now how to behave with the developer community. So you can start from scratch. So you can create really from scratch a community, and it's a long, long story in this case. Few people try to do that, but it's not easy. Or you start with an existing one. And when you start with existing one, there are some rules and some behaviors I will say that you have to follow up to be accepted by this community. First of all, you really need to meet the community. And it's really the key point, I think, of this presentation. It's you cannot expect to have a community growing around your project if you don't meet them regularly. So of course you have conferences, but you have also local events. I'm talking about Meetups where you might find people around, and not only from Eclipse, but people are doing development, and you just meet them and talk about your stuff and how kind of progress you are making. User groups, and you have also bars because developers like drinking beers, as you know. And it's also a great place to meet them and to talk with them about your stuff. And so my friend Gail Blondel used to say, if you don't show up, they will never know you. And it's really very important to understand that if you are only one showing up at EclipseCon events and just for the day of your talk or the day of the booth and then you move away, forget it. It doesn't work actually. You really need to spend a couple of days with him, then you need to drink some beers on the evening to listen to them, to talk about your own stories, and you build a relationship. It's really a relationship story when you build a community, so it's very important. And you need to act at the different ways, running talks, running workshops, having a booth, everything like that, and we are here to help you on this kind of thing. We offer all these kind of services with Eclipse, so don't hesitate to use them and to adopt this attitude with the Eclipse community. You need to also to understand this community. It's very important to understand how they work. You cannot show up saying, okay, guys, we work this way, or I work that way in my university or in my organization. So you have to adopt that way because if you want to use our project. Actually, it's the opposite. You really need to be humble and say, okay, guys, how do you work? Okay, we will try to work that way. Like that, you will have a minimum effort to do to use our stuff. So it's really important to understand this kind of relationship that you come in an existing organization, people already are pretty efficient in this organization, so it's very important for you to admit and to accept this way. I know it's not always easy, and for this reason that we try to push people to put their project in open source as soon as possible, like that they don't take sort of bad habits to develop in a separate role. They immediately start developing in Eclipse, so they are comfortable with the rules in Eclipse, the rules that I described yesterday, and they are comfortable with the way of working and so on. So it's very important to understand your community. You also need to feed the community. So community is not just here and you just need to show up and it will work. You need to feed them. You have channels. So we know about academic channels like for dissemination, the papers and so on. But also you have social media to show progress, to stay in touch with your guys, webinars to talk. So yesterday, Benjamin mentioned that we organized a virtual meetup, which is pretty interesting meetup because we have people from everywhere in the world following this kind of meetup, and sometimes it does on the morning, some to reach India, sometimes it does on the afternoon to reach North America, and so it's a good way to present your stuff. Press releases, website, wiki, all these kind of channels to feed people, and then after that you need to build assets for these guys to be able to start using your stuff, to understand how it works, find code snippets sometimes, use and noteworthy the progress that you are making, and getting feedback from them, have technical videos, all the kind of things that you can do are very welcome. And so we will put in place during this project certainly a website to gather all this information, but you will have to build all this information. So as soon as you see some interesting, even the first getting started about something where you have very few features available, but you have to build a demo for somebody, just record your demo, and then you will have a first asset that you will be able to share with the community and so on. So, and we'll gather all this information. So it's very important for the community to have this kind of assets available to learn from us. Train the community. It's also something you need to do. It's by training, I'm talking about workshop. People can learn by themselves. When it starts to be a big project like Obstacle, for example, we might need to be prepared to organize workshops on different events, on different summer school, university, and so on. You will find maybe in the 20 guys that you will have at your workshop, 1 or 2 guys who will be able to follow up with your project, and they might be later on the key stones of the project for sustainability. So don't forget that, but you really need to pass the relay, I don't know, pass to the next one, and by training them, it's definitely a good way to do that. You can identify and really meet people who are interested in your stuff. You also need to engage them, because for now, what I was showing to you, it's in one direction. So you are training them and so on in one direction. Now, on the other direction, it's what they can bring to you. So you need to engage them, and the good way to engage them is by organizing hackathons, by having open calls. I don't think we have planned any open calls in this project. Okay, so we might need to do that, or in challenges, contests, and all these kind of things where people are excited. Developers like to develop, so it's a key point also. So you organize workshop, and then after that you might have a challenge with a prize, a device, or I don't know what, but we can always find a way to have an interesting prize for them, and they will be attracted, and they will be able to provide feedbacks on what we are doing and so on. And they are very generous in feedback. So, and we have to accept them as positive information for us. We need to respect our communities. Another very important aspect when we are dealing with communities. Being responsive, the mailing list, the bug reports, the forums. I like this sentence from Eric Gamma, who say, every bug report is a love letter. Just think a second, what is a bug report? It means that somebody decided to load your code, to try to set it up, to run it, and finally found something which doesn't work. And he likes so much your stuff that he's ready to spend a few more minutes to write a bug report for you guys. So it's very, very valuable. So it must be very precious. And we really need to take care of this kind of feedback and be very gentle and very polite. I do remember when we start Eclipse at IBM, we had some guys in our team who used to say that if the guy was a customer was pushing a bug, and in the question we could understand that he didn't read the manual, the guy was pretty straightforward with him, telling him you should have read the fucking manual, you know. And we had to talk to these guys and to explain them that they cannot behave this way in open source world. And really there's some trainings on these kind of things just to change their mind and to be more positive and more kind with everybody. So it's very important. So once we will start getting feedback from our community, we need to respect them and provide answers as soon as possible and help them as much as we can. We are targeting today the one community, which is Eclipse, but we should not forget about the others. well, plenty of other community around, and it's important to be known also outside of this community, because it could be a good way to attract also people. If people can be interested and they don't mind if it's in Eclipse or outside of Eclipse, that's a big deal. And for them, it's just software, it's IoT, it's in cars, so it's some very cool stuff. So people will love to try it. So don't hesitate to join this kind of other events where you can meet other developers, and I will meet some of them later on in this presentation. So it's another, for me, also key point on this presentation. Don't forget that the community that you will reach, so it's already in place, are brilliant. They were able to survive for years. Eclipse, for example, old as 15 years. These guys are able to do what we name it train releases, because they are able to deliver in during one single day, more than 80 different projects running all together. I don't know any big organization I used to work with who were able to do that. Everybody has his own deadlines and so on. We are able to do it with more than 1,400 different developers, more than 200 different companies. These guys are able to work together and deliver on time in June. And just in June, because July is vacation for Canada and headquarters of the in Canada. So, and we keep this day, this month, it's always the same month for 15 years. So it's pretty amazing. Initially, we were delivering only the core Eclipse technology. And after that, once the core ID was available, people were able to update their own plugins on top of that. And it could take up to 3 years until all the stack would be available for a customer. So they tried to stop doing this kind of thing because it was a nightmare, because in 3 years you could have 3 other releases in meantime, of course. So they started to have this train release of all the major projects. So these guys, even if you see that we are using old technology for bug tracking like Bugzilla, or if we are using some other tools and so on. Yes, they are not the latest full kit stuff, but these guys are still brilliant and they are able to do amazing work. So we have to be humble in front of this community and respect. And I took this picture just really to show that it's like when we show up in a temple. You really need to be accepted and not show up very proud and to impose your world. You need to understand how this world works and why they are brilliant, how they work to be so brilliant. So, and usually the feedback that you will get, even sometimes you can feel they are rude, or you might not understand that why they bother you with this rule or that rule is just because it's the way they work, and it works pretty well so far. So we should continue to do it this way. Even if we are making progress in Eclipse, because we realize that we need to move on as well on some new technologies, and so we are doing some improvement on our side as well. Okay, last part is where we can find developers. Meetups is a very good place to find. So there are plenty of meetups everywhere in the world, as you can see. So Meetups is a good way to meet a developer locally around you. So you go, you type, for example, Java or any kind of language, and you will see that they organize regularly every 2 weeks, every month, meetings, and it's a good place you can just contact the owner of the meetup and offer him that you will run a presentation on Obstacle, on maybe a part of Obstacle, just to talk about your stuff. And they will be more than happy to have you here. So it's technical presentation, of course. It's not, you are not selling something. If you are selling something, it's just maybe to join the project. Exactly the only sell that you offer, but it's a great way to meet people, to see the center of interest, to have feedbacks, and to build a community locally around you. Events. Technical events like Eclipse, it's also a great place because you can organize dedicated workshops. You can have a technical presentation with a deeper dive. So use them. We organize two Eclipse events in Europe. One in spring. This one will happen in Toulouse at the end of the month. The other one happens in fall around end of October in Germany. It's a European one. So both events are very interesting to join. So please come. Personally, as a I will also organize a talk where each project who wants to join will be able to have a pitch. We will record these pitches, so it will be a nice assets to collect, and also organize interviews where we'll be able to interview people, and they will be able not to talk on, not only make a pitch, but also have a easy talk with somebody and present the project in different way. Also, it's an interesting way to gather assets about the project. So you are very welcome to join. It's a part of our services that we provide in Eclipse when we join the project. So having somebody of the project is free. So you get a free entrance and so on. So it helps. So if you want more, you might have to pay, but I will invite you. If you want to make a talk, for example, automatically speakers don't pay for the conference. So don't hesitate to start conversation like that with this kind of project, this kind of company. Larger organizations and larger communities like Devo, for example, it's also very interesting. There are 5 events in Europe, 1 in US, around 3,000 of attendees. So it's also a great place to talk, to have a booth, or to make a presentation. People are very interesting developers. Maybe not so much in IoT as far as we saw, because we joined some of these events, but we still find some people doing IoT. So mainly these guys are looking for a job. Companies also having a booth are looking for developers. So it's a sort of really marketplace for developers. And but nevertheless, it's interesting for us to be identified in kind of events as well, if we can. So we can do it under the umbrella of Eclipse. Sometimes it's better, so we can have a bigger booth where we have different projects. We can talk, and we are really well identified. Eclipse really, I will say, trademark, very well known by every developer. FOSDEM is another one. It's an event in Belgium. I went last year and I couldn't go this year. It's very interesting because it's all about open source. And it's also a very interesting point for us because we are doing business, we are doing cool stuff, and pretty technical stuff, but it's open source. So we are able to go to these kind of events and people will certainly appreciate that we are not only, there are only EPs going to these events, but also people who are able to build some cool stuff around open source. So you are certainly more than welcome to join this kind of events, and Eclipse goes everywhere kind of event. So it's visual style. It's not like I will say, usual conference that we can see, but it's nice to visit and to be there and meet developers, and we can meet very interesting people there. And when I was looking and was doing this presentation, I also find some other events which are very useful at summer school. So it's an example of summer school, but there are a lot of summer school where we could, if we start soon enough to look for this kind of event, and I'm sure that with our academics, we can certainly find this kind of event happening in summer or early fall, where we can present talks, run a workshop to some young developers, and it's good things to do because we can, like that, pull in the story sometimes some professors who might agree to use our project to teach some aspect of computer science their students. But it's a good way also to communicate and to spread the word. So don't hesitate to do that. And so if we find some of these events, we certainly will inform you and ask for people to run this kind of workshop. So please don't be shy and join this tournament for that. Okay, I'm done. For me, as I said, nothing really to learn, but lots of messages. And really, you need to think about that. And community building is the role of everybody. So when I see some projects where some partners are not, they don't put any workload any personal amounts on the line of the working package, I ask them to add it because I think everybody should be involved in community building at some point. So think about that, and we'll help you achieving this goal. Do you have any questions?
Is there also activities in Canada?
About not actually the notion of community is very strong in Europe.
Okay.
It's much stronger these days. Now it's more individual in Canada. So in Canada we are more working with big members like Google or IBM. But it's true that, for example, we see demo camps really work very well in Europe. We start pushing them also in China and India. But in US, it doesn't work.
Okay.
It's strange because they have user groups. I remember IBM, they had a local user group. It works differently depending on the state. But there's notion of user group. But demo camps like we have in Europe, friendly, where you actually, for your information, Eclipse sponsored this demo camp. So we give them around 100, 200 bucks. Like that, people can organize. They just have to have a room, a place to have this kind of event, and then we pay for drinks or for pizzas, and they invite the people, and you have to aid presentation on the evening. So it's very friendly usually, and people can chat together before, after, during the talks. And it's demo camp because it's 10-minute presentation, 10-minute demo, and 10-minute questions. But usually they have much more questions than we do, guys. That's personal remark.
Yeah, I think it's also it's a quite common comment from foreign president. Any questions? Of course not, because the anything.
Okay. Okay, good to know. I will tell that to my colleagues who were really disappointed yesterday. They said we were so bad that nobody wanted to ask a question. I said, no. Okay. Okay, guys, so I'm done, and I think we need to wait for Miguel. The next one, no, Ralph, actually, in 15 minutes. So you have 15-minute break.